Welcome to the T2 Hubcast. Join Martin, Dave, Spencer and guests as they discuss all things personal and professional development. The T2 Hubcast, brought to you by the People Performance People.
So welcome to another T2 Hubcast, and it's one I've been looking forward to because we have a special guest with me today, an external guest from outside of T2, and it's Leon McQuade. So welcome, Leon.
Thanks for having me, Martin. It's great to be in here.
Yeah, no, and me and Leon go back. We know each other. We've played rugby together. We live in the same area, and Leon has had, as well as my journey with my business, Leon's had a journey over the recent years of his own. He is the CEO of ThinkCloud and co-founder of ThinkCloud, which are a cloud and technology consultancy. He's also, because he's not busy enough trying to run a company, he's also an ambassador and trustee for a great charity up here in the north of England. Does it extend beyond the north of England, Leon?
Yeah, we are. We're down in Peterborough, and we're further afield. So we're all over the place at the moment, yeah.
And the charity is Andy's Man Club. And I'll let Leon just give you a quick 2-minute sort of intro to Andy's Man Club. But it's the reason I've got Leon on the Hubcast today, because this particular Hubcast is going to be about well-being or managing stress in the workplace or mental health in general. As we all know, as managers and leaders, it's becoming more of a topic that we have to sort of grasp. We have to take a bit of ownership over. And I think mental health is at a all-time high. Certainly people are feeling more comfortable these days in speaking out about it. And it's all around us at times in the workplace on various levels. So we need to sort of just start getting a bit of a grip with this, getting a bit better understanding, and just being more approachable as a leader or as a manager. So this is what this particular Hubcast is about. And I brought Leon in because he's done some wonderful work with Andy's Man Club, the charity. He's working, turning people's lives around, and it's for men who struggle with mental health. And the strap line for Andy's Man Club is "It's okay to talk," and it's about providing a safe environment for men who struggle to come and open up, to be heard, to sort of associate with others who carry similar struggles. And you've seen some wonderful successes with it, Leon, and you're making some real momentum. So do you just want to add a bit more to that around Andy's Man Club and what you do?
And I think what's interesting, because me and you go way back, personally, and then obviously in my former life in business, you was instrumental in helping me change a workforce's mindset. So we share a lot of similarities, and that me and you share a big common theme for psychology in the workplace and in sport as well, don't we?
Absolutely.
So I mean, also in the early days of me helping at Andy's Man Club, again, I just want to thank you. You helped me massively in there.
You're welcome,
and we're still using some of the coping techniques, and strategies in there. But I think first and foremost, for anyone who's out there listening about Andy's Man Club, and I just want to before we talk about Andy's Man Club, you mentioned something then about mental health, didn't you? And I think what Andy's Man Club is there about, we're trying to break the stigma, because I believe the word mental is a toxic word.
Yeah.
I don't think it's got any place in our vocabulary anymore, because I just want to ask you a question. When I say the word mental, just give me 5 things you think of.
Yeah, well, straight away, the stigma with that, with mental, is that there's something wrong with me. It's weakness. I'm ill. I'm incapacitated. My capabilities are not strong or worthwhile.
And give me three images you see. So.
Well, when you use the word mental, you think of sick people in a hospital. You think of asylums. You think of straitjackets. You think of people who are not deemed to be safe out in public. All of these things, which I think you're absolutely rightly on. It contributes to the stigma.
Yeah. So I mean, if we break that back, so where me and you share an absolute, fundamental is we're massive on personal development.
Yeah. True.
So I have a massive problem with. I've gone out there and gone personal development mad over the years, like you have. We share the same passion for learning and the brain, and you call it human psychology.
Yeah.
I'm a bit simpler than you. I call it brain health. And I think there's a big stigma sort of changing in terms of, I've meditated for the past 5 years every day without fail, and I do it just to reset my brain. I believe that in the next 3, 4, 5 years, meditating to clear your brain, not connecting to some guru somewhere. You know, if
Yeah.
that's your thing, that's your thing. But I believe there's a power bigger than all of us. You know, why am I involved in Andy's Man Club? Why am me and you sat here right now talking about it? I think we've all got our own little skills in life, our gifts that we can use.
Yeah.
And I think for me, meditating or looking after your brain health. So meditating used to be for me, and me and you share this passion. I used to meditate on that rugby pitch, being a number 10, charging at a brick wall. Our good pals like Darren Bumby and things. You don't have time to think because you're either going to get smashed, and you can't get things. There's a consequence for getting things wrong. So I think the word meditation, I class that more of looking after your brain health. And I think it's going to be as synonymous as brushing your teeth.
Yes.
Once we never brushed our teeth, I think what's going on, I think the brand of mental health is broken, huge, colossally broken. But that's not the NHS's fault. That's us as a collective, because we need to start looking at why do we use the word mental and health. I think what we're trying to do, I believe, what we're doing at Andy's Man Club, why I started with that word mental, is we're trying. So most people, and let's ask you this question then. So Andy's Man Club, what do you think we're there for? Who we're trying to help?
Well,
what's our end goal?
Again, I think thinking about the viewers watching this, if you're a leader or manager in a business watching this and listening to this, just to set the scene on Andy's Man Club, it's an environment where males of any age,
18 and over.
18 and over. So 18 and over. Yeah. So it's not any age.
We're a charity now, so there's stipulations.
Of course.
So 18 and over.
So males of any age, as long as it's 18 or over. So you get a plethora of types of men who come into the club. You at the minute meet once a week.
Yeah, every Monday.
In a communal area where it's open door policy to anybody. So you've had numbers of 2 or 3 people sat there, but then some weeks you've had 30, 40 people.
53 this week.
53 people sat there. So, but what it is you spend an hour or so, a couple of hours in, there's a format to it. It's a Chatham House rules. So people have the confidence that it's confidential, but it allows and creates a forum. This is my observation because I've attended a few with you, Leon, is I was blown away by it because it creates a forum, a safe environment for people who are struggling to open up. And even though at times there's complete strangers in that room, it was amazing how easy people opened up. Once 1 or 2 people started sharing some of their experiences and thoughts and feelings, it was like a domino effect. And do you know what? I sensed, and I'll bring you back in on this, but I sensed the forum you've created with Andy's Man Club. It does one really key thing for me. It does one wonderful thing that for the first time in a long time, people realize they're not alone. People have the realization that it's not just me. I'm not sick. I'm not different. This is a common thing that other people are experiencing. And together, right, we've got a better chance of supporting each other, sharing best practice, encouragement, and coming out of it. And we always say in performance psychology that part of mastering hypothetical worries or chronic anxiety is getting it out of your head and somewhere else, whether it's in a worry diary on paper, whether it's to your parents in the house, or whether it's to a group of strangers at Andy's Man Club, right? Yeah. And I think you do that wonderfully well.
Yeah, and I think so. And lead on to that. So what would you say the end, what we're trying to achieve Andy's Man Club? And the reason I'm asking this, before I define what we are there to do, I'm just inquisitive because you've been there,
yeah,
and I'm trying to test back what our message is. So, what is the end? What end users are we trying to support?
I guess you're better off answering that question. But if I was to answer it, You're trying to do a couple of things. I think you're trying to first and foremost try and challenge that stigma.
Yeah,
you're trying to remove the boundaries. You're trying to challenge the stigma of mental health, like we've already covered, and sort of say it's okay to talk about it. Right, it's okay to talk. But I guess the ultimate goal is as a byproduct of that, you're trying to reduce suicide rates in men.
Yeah, well, so this is I found that was where I was leading with that question in terms of, so a lot of people associate Andy's Man Club that to go to Andy's Man Club, you need to be suicidal and depressed. That's not the case. What we're saying is that Andy's Man Club, if you don't talk, you don't express yourself, the end result of not doing that, you will be suicidal, and you may be suicidal, and you may
or
be
certainly you're going to get yourself in a cycle that's self-perpetuating.
So one of the things we are trying to break, and it's amazing that you've got me on the show, is to obviously make sure that it's for any man, and where I'm going to flip back on that. you come to help me out just for the psychology element, just observe what was going on and just give me feedback on myself really and help. And then you started to actually come and use the club now and again, didn't you? And for other bits, you took actual value out of that. And we have a lot of guys who turn up who don't want to come for the club because I think you have to be depressed or suicidal. But you took massive value out of that yourself personally.
Yeah. And I guess I did. And as a CEO of my own company, although I wouldn't class myself as having a mental health issue, I absolutely get bloody stressed, like we all do. Yeah. And sometimes you don't understand that the sheer workload that you carry as even not just a business owner, but someone who's holding a position of command or rank in a business.
You know this. There's a statistic you mentioned when you talked about inputs.
Yeah.
So now there's so many inputs we're having
into the brain.
Into the brain. Yeah, hit me with that one.
You know, the last 100 years, what that says is in a previous talk is that we've gone from 1,500 inputs in the brain a day to 100,000 through technology and digital platforms and social media and all of the stuff that we have, which feeds us into our brain every day. Now, even that sheer mass of information is overloading us. Which for me, so to come back and answer your question, when I went to Andy's Man Club, first and foremost to help you out and deliver some insight into the people attending, I all of a sudden found myself getting a lot from it myself because I realized that when I was participating in the discussions and answering the questions, I was offloading as well. I was getting stuff off my chest that I don't potentially sometimes go home and speak with my wife about because I don't want to worry her, or that I don't, because we want to make sure, put on this as men sometimes, we want to put on this character that we are okay, we're strong, right? So I found it, although I wasn't struggling, I found it really beneficial just to offload and have an environment for myself as a busy professional. So just a quick thing then, Leon, because I want to bring this back to that. So if people are listening to this as a manager or a leader in a business and they have a team, or they're experienced, or they know some people or individuals in their team at times get overwhelmed with stress or can have down periods or low mood or whatever it might be. What I'm hearing from you is we've got to be encouraging individuals. And I know you have Andy's Man Club, which is men, but this is men and women. No. We've got to be encouraging individuals in the workplace to feel confident in opening up and having discussions. And we as the leaders and managers have to drive that. We have to send a signal of it's okay.
Right, so for me, first and foremost, so to click into that and I'll go. So Andy's Man Club, first and foremost, is for any men, right? And the vision is it's okay to talk. And the other vision is real simple, we're real and raw. So what you witnessing there, we're radically honest. That's what the club's about, radical honesty. And I think what you talk about, what you've experienced, because it's a 5-question format, we don't actually fix anybody's problems. You just offload.
Yeah.
And what you actually get is it's peer-to-peer. You learn. So linking it back to what you do as a job, because I've experienced at the other end, you come in, you talk when we was doing stuff psychologically with the leader and we're working all different bits. We come in, you give us, there's a question that comes out. We answer that question in a forum and the business works that out with your support coaching, because a coach isn't there to fix, it's there to guide.
Yes, of course.
So in my sort of linking this back now, I'm a trustee trying to make sure we've got a consistent message at each. Look, we're not there to answer any questions. So we can't have people coming in and teaching or doing other bits. It's all about the 5 questions. That's the power. So we're peer-to-peer learning, right? So that's first and foremost. But then I think linking that back, and this is where I was heading with this. So I believe like toxic words like mental health and, are all broken. And I think the workplace has got a lot to answer for in terms of us as leaders. I believe we're there to inspire and lead change in the workplace. So, if we look at, Maslow's hierarchy of needs or McGregor's X and Y theories, these, McGregor's X and Y theory, I love it. There's 2 types of people, isn't there? And people are motivated by sense of purpose, like you're massive on, or people are motivated by discipline and money.
Yeah, and that ties into NLP's towards pleasure or away from pain.
Yeah, exactly, right. So I believe I might get this the wrong way around. I think I'm a leader who believes in a Y theory. So encourage them,
towards pleasure.
Pleasure, right. And change it. Again, me with my technology business, our big motto is you can work anywhere, anytime, any place. So if you've got a member of staff, I did this in the other organisation. If we've got a member of staff in the accounts team, who needs to take their child to school and needs to do stuff, but they can do the work on any device, anywhere, anytime. If we can instill that and give them that opportunity, give them that resource, because as a leader and a manager, we're there to empower our staff. We're there to give them resources, which maybe be time, money, and different technology to do that. So I think massively what you're doing, and why I want to work closely with you, with the Andy's Man Club front, because obviously of our message, is you need to encourage, I believe, leaders and managers to talk and look at the way they've managed people. And my idea...
And this, sorry, Leon, this comes down to things like the language they use, how they address performance, how they respond to adversity, the decisions they make and the impact it can have on others. So you've got to be what you're saying is you've got to be a mindful leader. You can't just be going, it's all about the end game and I will crack this whip and I will direct until we get where we want to get, but at what cost?
Correct.
We've got to be a mindful leader, right?
And more importantly than ever, right? And the world's changing. We've got to be... I've seen courses and courses about emotional intelligence. I've seen courses and courses about being directive, and we've got to be real. And so breaking stigmas is about being real. And I think what we're doing with Andy's Man Club, and again, we're linking with Paul for Brain and other organisations, Mind, we're trying to break a stigma. But what we're actually trying to do, I believe, it's really, really simple. We've been looking at mental health and words like mental health and the way we deal with mental health. And I believe we've been... we're scared of it. We're so scared of it, we don't want to address it properly. So we look at the world as flat. And I believe what organisations like Andy's Man Club are doing, Mind, and other organisations with your stress toolkit in the workplace and all these different things, we're actually saying to organisations, actually, the world's round. And people aren't ready for that at the moment. And it's very, very simple. Because as I look at it, and I was with Paul for Brain yesterday, we was having a real good chat. And don't get me wrong, some people, unfortunately, their brain health does not work at average functions. And I remember having a chat with you, and it would be good to discuss today, is you had a talk on about your opinion on it. I really like and very passionate about, and I'll explain this in a minute, very passionate about it's okay to talk, but I'm more passionate about it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm more passionate about that is, and I'll link into Andy's Man Club, some of these guys who turn up there, and from my experience, the last 16,000 men, data I've got back, is some of these guys have a great group of people there. So me personally, I've got a great support network, great friends. But at times in my previous career, and you helped me fix my mindset on that, I was struggling to make some massive decisions in my personal life and career, right? I was very fortunate that I've got great people around me like yourself and other people where I could go and seek advice and speak out. So I was okay to talk back then, right? So what if, though, you're the guy who, for whatever reason, doesn't feel, he might have great friends, or a lady might have great friends, might have great people, but just might be scared to tell them because of the stigmas we're talking about.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm so passionate about it's okay not to be okay is we've got to empower people to go challenge managers and leaders to say it is okay if someone comes to you with stress in the workplace. Yeah. It's actually a massive positive because we can actually look at that. What we're actually doing, I believe, is someone's stressed in the workplace, we're being an ineffective leader. And we need to look at what we're doing and solve the problem and give that person an environment. And it's down to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Look at that, basic human needs. If they're not feeling safe, secure, and you'll do a far better job on me educating everyone on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But I keep it really simple because of the way my brain works. And I believe, so simple, that people who get depressed is due to not expressing themselves. So I look at it like a pedal. So if we're driving forward, we've got goals, we've got a vision, we know where we're going, we're communicating, life's good, we are on that accelerator pedal and we're driving forward. And I believe that once someone might have adversity, might challenge, something might change, self-image is a big one, or sense of purpose, whichever way you want to wrap that up. All of a sudden, what can happen is the brakes can get put on that vehicle. And what starts happening, I believe, when you don't talk, you start getting depressed, which is depressing. And I believe the expression what I'm talking about is energy. It traps energy. It needs somewhere to go. Yeah. And if it can't go anywhere, I believe there's only two things, two emotions in life. I believe there's love, and we can categorize everything else like that. And I believe we're fear. And we're either scared of a dying or we're scared of other people's opinions. That is it, what motivates people, I believe. So I believe people are scared to talk because they're scared of other people's opinions. Because we're human creatures, we want to be liked, we want to feel protected. And if I start saying I'm not okay, I'm getting out of my troop, I'm getting out of my tribe. It goes against every single thing.
And more so in males, as we know, in men who are traditionally were animals. You know, the alpha male in the family or in the tribe is the one who has to be strong, the one who has to provide traditionally, etc. The world's changing, but we still have that as men. We still have that. Now, let me pick up on a few things you said there. Now, yeah, I have been known to, in recent talks, controversially make a statement about something, and it's not controversial for any other reason than I'm trying to challenge leaders, managers, parents and influential people into action. So I say, I agree with you. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to talk.
And the reason why I love that statement and why you're doing that and why me and you have different messages is what I love and respect about you, Martin, is you challenge people. You've challenged me over the years. We and you are polar opposites.
It would be people wouldn't pay if I just agreed to with everything.
Yeah.
But to clarify what I'm saying, I love it's okay to talk, because you mentioned a really, really valid point there. I loved your analogy of people need to express themselves and express what they're thinking. And it's okay to talk as Andy's Man Club sort of motto. I love it because we want people to talk. And if leaders and managers are listening to this, you've got to encourage that concept of it's okay to talk, but you're part of the equation because you've got to make yourself approachable and accessible for
Which
people.
takes skills.
Yeah.
It takes skills, massive skills.
Time. It takes trust.
Yeah,
it takes rapport. You can't just all of a sudden be not very social, not have any rapport with your people, be quite an autocratic manager, then one day waltz into a room and say, come on, open up to me.
Massive respect, because what you're actually doing there as a leader or a manager or a HR, you're putting your hand up and saying, I'm actually vulnerable.
I've got a level of humility and vulnerability myself, and it's okay.
Yeah.
So I agree with it's okay to talk. What I challenged on the stage recently at a conference was I'm not a massive fan of the overuse of it's okay not to be okay. And what I meant by that is not that it's not okay to be not okay, but what I'm challenging people out there to say is, I don't think it is okay to not be okay, and we've got to fix it, and we've got to help people. So as a leader or manager, you've got to carry a level of responsibility for the well-being of your people and your team, as well as the performance, as well as catering for what your business and your managers need. You've got to take the lead on the general well-being of the people who directly report into you or you're responsible for. And therefore, it's not okay for them to be not okay, right? It's not okay for Leon's not switched his phone off. He's just dashing out to take his device off, despite me telling him that he had to turn it off beforehand. But anyway, so I think it's not okay for people to not be okay. But what my message is on that is we've got too many people in this area. When you go to speeches and conferences, they talk about the impact of mental health on the workplace. They talk about the numbers. They talk about the cost of the economy.
Inaction.
They talk about the NHS. So they talk about it all, but nobody's doing anything about it. And what we've put on the hub is the Managing Stress Toolkit. And I agree with you. I left out mental health from that branding because I didn't agree with it. It's about managing stress, whether it's on a serious level, a debilitating level, or on a mild level. It's about managing stress, emotions, and anxiety in the workplace. So we've got a toolkit on here you can go and view after this. But for me, we've got to take some ownership and start doing something bloody about it. And to do that, first and foremost, I think what we're saying, Leon, is make yourself accessible, vulnerable at times, make yourself human, approachable, and give your people the trust and rapport and the platform for them when the time is needed for them to open up about it.
Yeah, and I think the reason I'm so passionate about that is all Andy's Man Club does, if we go back to them two emotions, love and fear, we provide a loving environment. We get someone to feel comfortable with not feeling the way they are. And then what we do is we empower them to take action. Simple as that. Mm-hmm. So that's why we share that same value. And I think more so why I was really keen to do this podcast was you've got a tremendous, respect in the town for making change, and you lead some of the biggest organisations in the city. You're key to being a catalyst for change in these HR departments. People listen to you. You've got some fantastic tools, fantastic strategies, and action needs to be taken to train and upskill staff. And on the other side, so I see, you're doing a fantastic job corporate-wise. I look at Andy's Man Club, and more like a triage. And the problems I have with, the branding of mental health. And this is the same. And I'm going to try and share this story to see it maybe sparks an idea in yourself or, in HR people who are watching this or anyone else who's got an idea to change this, because we must change it. So obviously, being involved in Andy's Man Club, when people are suffering, I get quite a lot of messages and conversations and calls. And it's such a common theme that when someone is brave enough to reach out, and you'll tell me this, when you're having a brainstorming session and people have ideas, every idea is a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
We want to. What's the psychology behind that?
Every idea is an idea, and definitely no such thing as a bad idea. But what we want, you're promoting expression, and because the minute, this is the thing that we find in organisations, right? The minute a manager dismisses an idea forthright or outright, the minute it gets played down as a stupid idea
in front of peers as well,
people will stop doing it. And the minute people stop doing it, you're losing collaboration, you're losing creativity, and then you become that single point of leadership, autocratic leadership, where we know the rest. It just doesn't work in productive ecosystems and environments. So absolutely.
So you get that. So if you understand that, and I think there's a massive point there, because if we're speaking, if we've got HR directors and leaders and business leaders listening to this, so then if someone does reach out to you and say they've got a problem, how we manage that, we must manage that like we are in the best hotel in the world, where we ask for something. Nothing's a problem. And we must manage that situation the best we can. So that's one side. So when you're saying about it's okay not to be okay, we can fix that. And I think we've got a place in the workplace where some companies are doing it. If staff are struggling with the workplace, they've got a choice. They can change. They can go, right. So there's more options. Me at grassroots level, where I'm looking at it is you ring the doctor and you've got to ring at a set time. Trying to get an appointment with a doctor, if you don't ring at set times, is a challenge. When you start to push and say, I really need to help. So I had this last week with a very good friend of mine who I'm helping. And his problem's not massive, but he needs, if I've got a sprained back, I can't go to work and lift boxes. So if I'm starting to see my brain health deteriorate, I'm not thinking as I lose my spark, and there's something's not right in my job, my career. I need to change something, but it might have gone too past that, with your anxiety, your worries are going on. So you reach out to the doctor. The doctor said, you missed the call, you ring at 8:15, all the slots are gone. They tell you to ring back the next day. That doesn't work. So then when you push it again, and this guy who I was helping, he rang up on last Friday, push, and then they told him that he needs to ring back. He can have an appointment on the 22nd. Right? And he just needs to see his doctor just to talk. He might not even know about these services and other things that are going on. So that all of a sudden we've potentially lost someone. That's like that conversation we just had there. We're sort of saying no, aren't we? We're not doing anything constructive.
And all this time they're becoming more demoralised and disheartened with the process. They believe they're never going to get the help. They give up.
No one cares.
They give up, and then the spiral continues. Whereas what you're doing wonderfully well at, like you called it, a grassroots level or at an every man anywhere level, is come to us and we will help triage.
Well, we'll listen. We'll listen. And so I have a massive problem with the way that's sort of set up in our health services. That's problem one. Problem two, though, when you really push. So if that guy, has got the confidence, he's got confidence already to ring up. He's found that he's empowered. He rings up. Let's say he's not happy to wait till the 22nd, and he really pushes through. The next thing they say to him is, you need to, we've got a number for you for the mental health crisis team. So if we already don't like the word mental, right, and I put the word crisis in there.
Oh, yeah.
What's that doing
to it? It's threat state language. We talk about challenge and threat state all the time. It's more threat state language, isn't it?
Yeah. So as a guy who's just reaching out initially, right, so then he gets second-class citizens, as I call it, he gets sideswiped and he's got to go down that path, right? If I'm challenging, that myself, so if I've got a bad back, I don't say I have to go to crisis or, and use them languages. So I have a massive problem with that. And I think something just needs to be done around that sort of the way that. And
certainly relating this back into the workplace is that I'm glad you used the word triage, and we'll wrap this up in a couple of minutes. But our managing stress in the workplace toolkit, which is available on the hub, is a triage toolkit. And we always say it's a frontline first aid support tool, which managers can use to, and there's a thing in there called the 7-day worry diary, where we get at the first port of call, if somebody approaches us who's stressed, who's anxious, who's worried, who feels they might be depressed, who's mentally struggling in the workplace, we can carry out an instant 7-day process where we send them away. We get to capture their thoughts and worries as they arise. They categorize them hypothetical or practical, time of day, and score them from 1 to 10 on the level of stress, right? We get them to do this for 7 days. Why that's important is because it helps you triage. They'll come back in 7 days' time, and you will be, if as the manager, you'll be able to review this with them, find the most common things that are reoccurring, and you'll be able to establish, is this person a practical worry or a hypothetical? Is there any patterns in the times? Is it late in an evening when they tend to build the most anxiety? Is it when they walk through the door at work?
Certain types of projects.
Is it someone in the office who's triggering them and pissing them off, right? Do we need to move them away from them? Is it their manager, right? So you'll find the pattern in the managing stress toolkit. And then what we do is, after the 7-day exercise, we say, okay, now we've got an idea of what's triggering the stress response. We can either make a decision as a leadership team internally to help you. We move role, move department, we'll offer some coaching and support, etc. Or if it's a bit of a deeper issue, and this is clearly a deeper issue because mental health is a vast spectrum, then we can facilitate the most appropriate professional support as an employer. That is what I believe at a first surface level we should all be doing as HR departments, as managers, as team leaders, and it doesn't take a lot of effort or any rocket science to deploy that, because you become accessible, you be approachable, you allow people to offload and talk. You conduct a 7-day exercise to capture the worries and the anxiety triggers in the moment. You review that with the recipient, and then you've triaged the best course of action. That process alone, Leon, I don't know if you would agree, that process alone will help the individual, make progress.
Well, we're singing massive of the same industry, because I'm not going to name no names, but you've visited the club. We see massive results just after one session, don't we? And the reason we see massive results, I believe, is a lot of the times, and I did this myself. Me changing career was down to, I asked myself 3 questions, and traditionally it'd always been, unconsciously, I got into construction and did that because of my parents. My parents told me to go be a carpenter, and then I wanted
to get a trade behind you, son. Yeah,
that's what it's like. And then and then naturally, because I'm an achiever, I want to be the best that I can do. So I get trained, and all of a sudden, I'm running a construction company. Not because it's my sense of purpose, just because it's all I know. Unconscious motivating me.
Whereas deep down, we know that was your true calling and sense of purpose connected to that. Not really.
No.
You was going to do a good job and you'd succeed at it, but you didn't feel innately passionate about what you did.
I had a standard of work and I wanted to do, but what was very interesting, what I was able to do, because obviously I left there as a shareholding director, I had a lot of decisions. Now, what a lot of people don't know about me, and I never used to tell anybody, I see it that my brain just works a little bit different. But if we need to put a label on it, like we like to put it on this world, I'm a bit dyslexic, I would say, and I don't retain information that well, so I need to have systems around me to store information so my brain can get back to solving problems.
Which is why you write mind maps, draw mind maps, and write loads of notes whenever you're attending events or listening to anything.
So that's the way my brain works. So I've used technology for years to enable me. I can't spell, so I was using text-to-speech, dragon dictation, all this plethora of technology to allow me to enable me to communicate with people who are more educated than me or better skills than me. So that's where my true passion was. I used to link that in that business to it. So much so that it makes perfect logical sense for me to have a technology company and train developing people around technology, because I have a passion for people. I have a passion for technology. So I love all that. And I think linking back into that, so back to that question is, I sat down and asked myself 3 questions. First question was, what experiences do I want to have? And bearing in mind, I was running a multinational company, all over the globe, in fact. And one of the first things what I wanted to experience was taking my children to school. And I wrote that down. And the next column is, how do you need to grow as a person to make that happen? And I wrote that down. I want to take the kids to school, and I wrote, I like going out on my bike, I want to do track days. And I wrote all these things out, and I looked down the list. And there weren't very many of them that cost any money. Taking my kids to school don't cost any money. You just needed
time.
And what I'd realised was I'd made a massive mistake, and I traded time for money. I had no time. And I had to learn how to build another business, get out and make a massive decision, which instantly worries, stress, anxiety. I was in your office for you to sort me out. And I think massively, what you're saying with your toolkit is I made a plan. I knew what I wanted to experience. I knew what I didn't want to experience. I then did a plan of how I need to grow and what do I need to learn. What's that look like? And then the reason I'm involved in Andy's Man Club, the last column is what you're going to give back to the world. And me giving back was I'm going to give Andy's Man Club technology. I never thought I'd run an Andy's Man Club, but it's just the weird how it goes. And then I've gone on to be a trustee. So that was my vision how I got involved it.
I love it. And do you know what? I'm going to finish off this Hubcast with linking into exactly what you've just said, because there's a really salient point and important message on that, which is, and I talked about this on a podcast I recorded off the cuff the other night, but one of the things I've always done myself, if we're talking about, our journeys, is people say, I'm like you, I'm off a council estate. I never went on to higher education. I am always the most uneducated man in the room academically, but probably the most educated socially, right? But I don't come from a background of education and upper class. I just don't. So one of the secrets I think that drives me on is I strongly believe in the law of attraction. So I know where I'm going. I visualize 10 years from now, 5 years from now, where I'm heading, and my eyes are on the prize. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does my business look like? What products and services have we deployed? Who have we helped? And I can see it. And because I've got that, it creates the law of attraction. It pulls me. Now, the one thing that does, and the one thing that you did when you made the decision to leave and set up on your own and help people and make a difference is, once you've got a destination in the law of attraction, you work back from that, you start making decisions, right?
I think linking that back where you got a point, right? So law of attraction, some people are like, what is that? It's a vision.
I don't mean, by the way, when you strip it back, it's the vision element.
Let me strip this back though, because I know exactly what you mean. Me and you operate on a vision, don't we? Right? We've got a vision. We know where we're going. We know what experience. If we know what experiences look like, I imagine taking my kids to school. It's the first day of school yesterday. I took them to school. That's my vision. I visualized that a year ago. It's taken me a year to get there, and now I can take my kids to school, pick it up when I want. So I've got control of my time. Massive point. But that vision, you then need to turn that into habits. So what's it need to look like? So I need to learn, I need to do this. So you turn them into habits, and eventually turn them into goals and tasks, and we work it back. But most people don't even, when you ask that question, me asking what do I want to experience, how many people, and I implore everybody to sit down and write a list down of what they want to experience, because we're too caught up in the material world of chasing things and stuff. And then when you realise the law of attraction is, if you want to experience all this stuff, it doesn't just land on your lap, but with loads of action, like we're going back to, loads of action, finding people who can help and support you, whether that be personal, business, and go out and get them. And I think I want to wrap up on one of my bits before you jump on, is I think a really key point and a real simple analogy, what managers or anyone listening to this, or anybody can take value from. And Luke Ambler taught me this. He mentioned what Andy's Man Club does. And I believe if we're going back to the triage, what HR departments and companies can do, can have this very simple analogy in that in life there's two people, and you talk about it and you can link into this. You have your circles, inner circle, out close circle, outer circle. And I believe in that theory, and you can link into that a bit. But I believe there's two types of people. For whatever reason, you've either got radiators who let off a lot of energy and they're warm to be around, and you want to be around a radiator. Me and you are like that in a lot of ways. Yeah. Certain things on me and you can switch. Then when I get into detail mode, I become a drain for you. Yeah. When you get we're doing this when I'm not listening, you're a drain for me. Yeah. So me and you can switch between a radiator and a drain, right? But you've got to understand, you've got to define people and understand in your hour of need or a problem you've got, who's a radiator in your life and who's a drain in your life for that particular problem. And I give an expression on that. My mother, love her to pieces, all right? I cannot go talk to my mother about anything to do with money or anything because her senses, Maslow hierarchy needs stay where I don't move, don't do anything. Secure. Yeah. So any big challenge, it drains you. Yeah. So I don't talk to her about anything like that, right? So for me, I think, if we can achieve one thing, getting companies and organizations to, when someone reaches out and speaks, to be a radiator to help that person, empower that person.
It's a great point. Love that. And just to round off my bit as we come to the end of this is the reason why visualizing what you want to achieve and seeing it is important is it works back and it absolutely drives you into making decisions. Now, one thing that decisions do is when you make decisions, because there's nothing more powerful than a decided mind, it triggers action. And here's how the psychology of this works in the human brain. When we are trying to achieve something and therefore making decisions, which is then triggering action, it is scientifically impossible to hypothetical worry at the same time. So what triggers hypothetical worry is where we are focusing on just where we are. Yeah. So hypothetical worry is where we've talked about it in another podcast, but it's where you're worrying about something that's either happened in the past or that we perceive may happen in the future. And usually it's the consequence of something happening, going wrong, a loved one dying, becoming ill, losing your job. Yeah, absolutely. So hypothetical worries happens when we don't make decisions, when we're inactive and we're in limbo. So the law of attraction works in, you set your goals and your visions, you can feel it, you can see it. It then triggers a state of, okay, what do I need to do to achieve that, which is decisions. That triggers action, and you are almost, you're eradicating hypothetical worries. What I often find when people come to me with stress, depression, or anxiety, and we have one-to-ones, is they're not making any bloody decisions. They don't know what to do. And decisions are hard. And it's not for this Hubcast, but people fear making decisions out of fear of making the wrong one, right? So it's not just as easy as making decisions, but if we can get the thing the triage toolkit does, the managing stress toolkit, is it allows a recipient to go on a 7-day process, get things out of the head, so if we just wrap up everything we're talking about, get things out, gives them a safe environment to get things out of the head. It allows us, the managers and the leaders, to identify the triggers that are causing that stress or anxiety and make some bloody decisions around them, which will lead to action, which will eliminate hypothetical worries.
Yeah, and also you think of it, real logically, and try this exercise. Whenever you are scared of something, right, and you're in that cycle, you need to break that cycle. So when I go back to that analogy of radiators and drains, whenever I think of something I'm grateful for, and we can always find, I do it every morning, 3 things I'm grateful for. It is impossible when you're in a grateful state to also be worried and anxious. So it's trying to empower people to make sure that they can trigger that. And I think organisations got a massive point to do on that.
Great point. In the toolkit, it's not just about recording worries. We have a section in there, as you'll see in the handbook, where they can record when they feel great. And Leon's point is a really important one. What the process behind that is that if they can capture the things that make them feel great and grateful in the moment,
back to the experience I'm talking about.
So when they come back, we say, right, all these things trigger worry, but all these things give you self-fulfillment and happiness. So you need to do more of them, or we in the workplace need to find a way of doing more of that and less of that, right? Yeah, so yeah, it's a really great point. Right. Listen, I'm going to end it there. We're on 45 minutes.
I've got to go.
We're on 45 minutes, mate. So listen, Leon McQuade from ThinkCloud, CEO and co-founder, thank you for your time. He's also an ambassador and trustee of Andy's Man Club, who are at various locations around the UK, giving a platform for men of any age over 18 to come and be open and talk in confidence about their struggles, their troubles, whatever it is that is bothering them. And it's a wonderful cause. They're making big inroads. So look them up.
Also, I just want to jump in there. Anyone looking to digitally transform their business, we can help. We've got some great intranets we're building where we can engage and collaborate with staff. So check us out for that as well.
Absolutely, and I vouch for that. Obviously at Trans2 Performance, we do the human element of performance, and we engage staff and leaders and people on how to develop personally and be more productive. ThinkCloud and Leon, they can do the systems and the technology side of things.
What was the thing you taught me this? The chokehold on a business. The hourglass. We need 3 things.
People, process, and technology.
And technology, your people. The process comes out of some of your toolkits.
Both, yeah.
And it also comes out of the businesses.
Yeah, you fix your people, process, and technology, and your business flourishes.
Best bit of advice you've ever given me. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Leon, and we'll see you next time for another T2 Hubcast.